Angry guy here, and Asian women are rapidly replacing black women. Asian women are rapidly replacing black women. Let's just go ahead and jump right into the video.
So I was watching this news segment on the Isaiah factor, and they were speaking about Asians that like to do their hair like black people. Now, he had 3 panelists on. 2 were black and Asian, and 1 was an Asian woman. And they were cosmetologists, I guess, and they were talking about whether they liked it or not. Some of them were like, well, I don't really have a problem with it. But one woman was like, I'm kind of on the fence because not only are they doing their hair like ours, they're mimicking us in every other way, right? Like the way we dress, the way we speak, the music and everything that we listen to. And as we know, that not even just Asians, but everybody else, they want to look like black people, speak like black people, dress like us and all that other stuff. But they don't really want to be black people. You know what I mean? But anyway, so I delved a little bit more into it. And as Isaiah said, there's a salon called Hippie Buddha, and it's a Korean gentleman. It sounds like he specializes in making Asians' hair look more black, right? So he'll go about putting little tight perm rods in their hair and perming it so it's really kinky and tight, and then he'll pick it out into afros, and then he'll do locks and braids and just a whole bunch of black styles, if you will. Now, I went on to the Facebook page, and a lot of people, the Facebook page where the story was featured, rather, a lot of people said they didn't really have a problem with it. And some people said, yeah, I have a problem with it because it's culture vulturing. Y'all know when other races of people take from us and pass it off as their own, right? It's like a glorified way to plagiarize our stuff. They pretend like they came up with it. You know, was it Kim Kardashian a couple of years ago? Did French braids, and she called it the Kim twist, or Coco. Ice-T's wife did it too and called the Coco twist or something. It was like, come on now. You know, you didn't originate those, or those aren't original to you. But anyway, I digress. All right, so do I have a problem with Asians doing their hair like ours? No, not necessarily, because, you know, I think it's flattering. But the other thing is, them and no one else can never be black people, right? But now the other problem that I really have with this whole thing is us. Because not all of us, but enough of us, we try to be everything but black, right? We wear our hair that looks more European. Sometimes we do the skin bleaching and, you know, a whole bunch of other stuff that sucks the blackness out of us, if you will. Now, Farrakhan, one particular time during the Savior's Day speech, this was during the time where Rachel Dolezal, y'all remember her? She was the white woman that was passing as if she was black. That was the big deal, right? She was discovered. She was the NAACP president there in Washington somewhere. And Farrakhan, he brought it up. He says, yeah, you know, that white woman, she went, you know, and pretended to be black, did her hair, you know, black and all that other stuff. But he asked black women, he says, why are y'all mad? She just went in the back alley and picked up what y'all threw away, you know, because a lot of times, not just black women, but black people, we want to try to look something that we're not. And so to me, I think we should look at those type of situations, especially like with the Asians, and say, oh, okay, they're finding beauty in who we are. Not that some of us don't, because we do. Listen, I love my black stuff. I love my kinky hair and everything about me. I just love. I wouldn't want to be nobody else, right? I don't blame them. If I had thick, straight hair, I would probably put some curls in it too. You know what I mean? But we should take a look at that and say, hey, black is beautiful. Black is the bomb. Black is where it's at. Because I've often said, even knowing what I know now about being black, especially in America, if I had the opportunity to be born something else, I would still want to be born black. Knowing all I know about the history of what our people have been through, not even just in America, but in the world, I would still choose to be black. In fact, I would choose to be blacker because I've always wanted to be dark skinned, right? So again, when I see the Asians mocking, because it's what it is. It's a mockery, right? They're cosplaying black, if you will. When I see them doing that, it just reminds me, yeah, black people are all of that.
Guys, she can say whatever she wants to say, but at the end of the day, when it comes to braids, if you ever watch Vikings, going back thousands of years, the Vikings would have braids in their hair. Having braided hair is not a black thing, it's a human being thing. And there's so much beautiful art from Scandinavia that depicts Scandinavian people with braids, both the men and the women. The reason why I bring this up, however, is that I want people to notice. I want you to see what's happening here. Black Americans, specifically black women, did not appreciate black men. They did not appreciate what black men had built for them. And now they're losing it because other people are coming and they're picking it up. I've said this before that that these passport kings are going across the world and they're starting new empires. They're establishing their empires around the world. That's what's happening. These are kings. These are kings. And they're establishing new domains. Just like how there was a gold rush in America and people came from Europe hoping to get a piece of that. Men right now are traveling to other places in the world and they're taking their capital with them and they're going to go to developing countries or even countries that are developed and they're going to create new industries there, bring new ideas there, and it's going to be so substantial. It's going to change the world. Many people don't comprehend just how paramount this is, because this is going to, guys, imagine going to Germany and there are certain things that don't exist in Germany. There are certain things like maybe certain kinds of food, certain types of music that are just not common there. And these men are going to take these things, they're going to take their ideas, they're going to take their experiences, they're going to take their values, and they're going to bring them to these countries. And it's going to be so paramount because the people are going to say, wow, we really enjoy this. We want to try this. We want to try this food. We want to experience this culture. We want to learn more about this music, maybe the style of dance. There's so much that's happening right now. And these men are taking their value, they're taking their capital, and they're going over to these countries and they're creating brand new lineages. That's something that African American women don't comprehend. That right now their genes are going to be eliminated. Like that's the end of their genetic line. The absolute end of their genetic line. Because these men are not having children with them. All they have left is Tyrone, Ray Ray, and Pookie. And there is so much incest that I learned about recently in that community that the people that they have children with, they're not going to last very long. A couple of generations and they're gone. Because there's so many problems there that it's paramount. These men basically said, you know what, we're done. We're done with Western society. We're done with relationships in Western society. We don't want to deal with this anymore. We don't want the mess. We don't want the jazz. We don't want the nonsense. We're picking up and leaving. And as you can see, you have a lot of Asian women who are appreciating the things that black women didn't cherish. They didn't cherish the culture. They didn't cherish the culture before they destroyed the culture and introduced single motherhood and made that the face of black culture. And especially, they didn't cherish the men who created so much. So now these men are walking away. And the women overseas are very, very happy to have them. They are grinning ear to ear. You can see the smiles on the faces of some of these little old Japanese women because they have something new and fresh that other people don't have. They're like, oh, look at my children, my grandchildren are special. Even though they will never be seen as Japanese, they're still going to be seen as something different, unique, special, that does not exist there, which makes them more desired. Something that a lot of men don't know is that, and this is something I learned about, especially back in the 90s, was happening. And I know it's still happening now. It's just more normal now. But back in the 90s and even the 80s, a lot of Japanese women would go seeking out you heard me right, black men who worked for the military, because that's where they would find a lot of them. A lot of the black men that were in Japan at the time were in the military, and they would deliberately go and find these men and offer themselves to these men and get impregnated by these men because they wanted to have the babies of these men so that their children would be different, even though they knew that their children would never be accepted as Japanese because you don't look, if you don't look entirely Japanese, then you will never be accepted as Japanese entirely. They still wanted their children to be different. And that's a cultural trend. And it's not just for blacks. For example, in Thailand, if you go to Thailand, you're a white guy and you go to Thailand, you might be considered average or ugly by American standards, but in Thailand, you're considered handsome and beautiful, even in Japan. And for example, in Thailand, the women in Thailand, their noses are different, and they see a white person and they look at a white person's nose and they want the facial features of that white person to be reflected in their children. So they want your genetics, they want your differences. And this is why I say, go where you're appreciated, go where you are celebrated. Guys, if you're enjoying the content, let's get this channel to 100,000 subscribers. And if you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, like the video, and turn on notifications to never miss another video ever again. Asian women are rapidly replacing black women. I want to know your thoughts regarding this in the comments. So let's talk about them there. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away, and share.